Anyways, we are going to talk to you today about maybe when not to buy a property, right? There are times, in probate and in real estate investing in general, when you don't want to buy a property because there's multiple issues there. Now, we're in the business of solving issues. When it comes to real estate investing, when we go buy and want to buy a house for cash, we're in the business of solving these people's issues because, quite frankly, they may not know how to solve them. They may not have the tools, and that's what we provide, right? Is to be able to solve some of the issues that they're having. So, Ernie, what are some of the issues? And let me get into gallery view here. What are some of the issues that people have with regards to some probate properties? And then how do we go about helping these people solve them?
Yeah, so there are many different circumstances and scenarios that people go through when they've inherited a house and they have to go through probate. And in a hot market like the one that we're in, even during COVID, you've got people that have multiple offers in front of them, right? And so that can be sometimes misinforming on the seller side, thinking that they necessarily are in the driver's seat when sometimes they're not, because what happens is that oftentimes a lot of these people that are making offers don't really know what they are doing or what they are necessarily working with if there's a particular scenario that's out of the norm. And so I'd like to share a story with you, if I may.
No, Marty, I'm sorry. We don't like stories here. No, make it. Go for it.
So one of the things that I do is I teach young people how to get into this business as well. And it's kind of interesting how that sort of fell in my lap. A lot of my friends, they say, hey, can you teach my son? Can you teach my daughter? And so I've got a couple of young people, and so this week, I have one young guy in particular who landed a great appointment. And, but it was a very, very, very specific scenario that was going on. So I went out with him to the appointment, and here it is. You had an estate where somebody actually committed suicide in the property. So that was not really a good thing. It's something that we have to kind of like have this red flag up because of that. That there could be some challenges, reselling this property, right? Properties with suicides are what we call stigmatized properties, right? And there is such a stigma in real estate, and that would be it. The second scenario that was going on here at the same time was that there was also a square footage that was added onto the property that was unpermitted. Not the biggest problem, but it's something to take into consideration. But then the biggest of all problems here, maybe even a little bit bigger than the suicide, was that that there were two people that this property would be delivered with as occupants. And so these two people were people who I as a buyer would have to take on, and I would have to figure out how to evict. Now, regularly that wouldn't be a problem, but where I'm located, California,
it's a huge problem. Yeah,
it's a huge problem. And so what we have right now is we have a moratorium on evictions. And so in Los Angeles, that just expired back in July. But it was actually just renewed just this week again. And so it's extended through September. And so the problem that I'm facing is whether I would or would not be able to evict or have these people vacate the property, right? And I could end up with a substantial problem there. And so, what I like to do is I like to present these homeowners with options and opportunities and solutions. And I think that's what we all should do as much as possible, is kind of put that hat on of the solution provider. And so here's what I offer them. I said, well, let's look at a couple of different options, 4 options that we have here. The first one is, what if we provide a purchase offer and I go ahead and take these people in place. But what I would ask for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is a huge discount, because in order for me to take them in place, then I have to take that burden on, and I'm happy to do so, but at the right price, right? So there has to be a win-win situation here. Well, one of the things that they kind of came back at me with was the fact that there were other offers on the table, right, for this particular property. And this is something that I mentioned to this young man that I'm training, is that you have to be okay to walk away from deals, right? You have to understand that not all deals are out there for us. And the more that you become attached to that outcome, the more that it paralyzes you. And so not being attached to that outcome is actually it's a point of empowerment in yourself. It doesn't build that desperateness in you, and it also helps you make sound decisions. And so that was important. So letting these people know that they are welcome to do so. However, you have to be able to stick with your numbers. So option one was for me to buy that at a substantial discount. Option two was for me to do what's called a holdback. And so with this holdback, I was able to create an offer where I essentially said, I will go ahead and purchase the property. However,
it's incumbent on them to get the people out, at that
exactly,
point. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I had a $20,000 holdback in the event that these two people do not vacate the property 60 days after the close of escrow. Then guess what? I get to keep that $20,000. Or if they do vacate up until that day, that money goes to you guys. And so now what does that do? That creates a win-win on both sides, because now we start to work together as a team to help these people leave. And so obviously, it would be
20K seems a lot, right? But we're talking California here, so the house prices are pretty high. If we talked about Ohio, where I do some investing, 20K could buy the house, right? So a big difference in that. So that holdback may be different for everybody, across the nation. So, but yeah, I just wanted to put that in. Ernie, I lost your video.
Sorry about that. Yep. Not, and I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because yes, some people might look at that and, what are you talking about? 20,000. but yeah, absolutely true. So you adjust that to your marketplace. But here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give them options, right? And if we work together to get these people out, it would create a win-win on both ends. They get more money, and at the same time, I get a property that's vacated and vacant. So the third option that I offer them is an opportunity for them to make more money. And so, I said, what if I go ahead and I help you? What if I go ahead and I help you, with the process of having these people leave the house? And, there's things that I can do. I can be your spokesperson. I can go out and hire a storage facility and a moving company, or, to help this person kind of get their things out and be that voice, right, for the estate to speak, into this person, rather into these two people, and to help them leave. And so by doing that, our agreement would be that I would not close on this property until these people, are removed from the property.
Right. You're going to help give them the tools to be able to get those people out as well, right? So the burden's not really kind of helping them, right? The way we should be helping people, by giving the tools to help them go through that process as well.
Right. So, and I gave them two options. Option one is we do this together. We write up a contract, and you guys get more money, because now the benefit to me is that I'm actually buying a house that I know is completely free of any tenants or any occupants in the house. Or if you really want to try and do this on your own, you can. I'll give you a quick synopsis of how to do this, and you guys go out and do it. More than likely, they're not going to do that 9 out of 10 times. People that are going through probate are going through a lot of stress already. And, they're very receptive to receiving all the support and help they can get. And that's what we're here for. But again, I put the ball in their court, let them make their own decision, whatever they think is best for them. And then the fourth option is to just kind of walk away. If they're not willing to budge on any of these things, it's okay. And it's all right to walk away and to say, this is a deal that I'm not going to buy. At the same time, you have to know what your business model is. And if buying a house with all of these different circumstances in place scares you, then this is one that you should know in advance. This is not one I'm going to buy. However, does that mean that you can't wholesale it? No, you can absolutely wholesale it.
Right.
And they're absolutely. So for me personally, this is not one that I would want to buy. I'm not interested in taking on all of those different problems. So I have different guys that work within that marketplace who'd be more than happy to do so. That they're not scared away by that. They've got the time, the energy to do so, and it fits their criteria. So
Yeah.
if
And
that means
when I teach people how to do this business, right? I always say the numbers have to work. Don't get emotionally involved in the lead and the opportunity, but the numbers
right.
have to work. Period. So have your Excel spreadsheet of all the different stuff there and ready to go. So, but yeah, the numbers have to work from that perspective. So really 4 options, right? Huge discount or a discount on the property. You take on all the problems, right? Option 2 is you do a holdback with the title company escrow, where it's all legal. You know, you do it with the title and escrow company. You hold back the percentage usually of the total offer. In your case, $20,000. Or option 3 is, you know, you teach them how to do it, right? You put it under contract, teach them how to do it, or maybe you don't have it under contract, still teach them how to do it to get those tenants out of there, which is the biggest problem in this scenario, right? And then option 4 is sometimes it's just not worth it. You know, there might be 2 or 3 deals that you're working, and this is the hardest one that you're going to have to deal with. Go do the other 2 and 3, right? Because those are going to be easier to close and go off and do. So sometimes the most obvious thing isn't obvious, where you have to walk away sometimes. And by the way, by you walking away, sometimes they're going to come back around and say, you know what, I thought about it. This is a huge mess and I don't want to have anything to do with it. So yeah, I'm willing to sell you the house at option 1, just so I can just walk away with this problem. Right.
Yeah,
and a lot
exactly.
of people in this scenario. Anything else you want to mention on that strategy with, you know, when you gotta, sometimes it's not the time to buy a property.
I think, yeah, that about covers it. And, you know, the truth is that there are so many leads that our subscribers get, you know, on a monthly basis, that there are just way too many for you to get wrapped up in just one deal. You know, understand that this probate opportunity is very, very abundant. There's many people that want to work with you and really are waiting for you to contact them. So you guys can create an opportunity for you to buy a property.
Now we have a special announcement today, Ernie. It's really cool, right? We are finally announcing that we have our inheritance lists are available now for purchase and subscription for your counties. So that's totally available now. LeadFusionList.com. It's live. And what we want to offer people, we put a special URL in the video link here on Facebook and YouTube and so forth, where you can click on that. It's tny.sh/leadfusion. Go ahead and click on that, and we're going to offer you some special discounts just by our video. We'll call them subscribers here, right? So if you're seeing this video, we want you to click on that link, subscribe, and we will send you some discounts associated with the inheritance leads right now. We're not offering this to anyone else right now, except our current subscribers for probate. We'll be offering that as well. So, but we want you to subscribe. We want you to get into that so that once we get the discount codes set up on the website, you guys are going to be one of the first people to get special discounts for the inheritance lead list. So anything that you want to add to that, Ernie, in terms of our inheritance?
You know, I just kind of want to maybe touch on something here, which is what I would call the paradigm shift.
Paradigm shift.
There's a paradigm shift.
Every inheritance lead is the same, Ernie. That's not true. There can't be no paradigm shift in inheritance leads. Tell me, please.
Yes. So, you know, with our current subscriber family here, we get some questions, right? And so they have heard about these inherited leads for quite a while that are coming. We're so excited about them. And one of the questions that I got was very interesting, and it was, you know, how are your inherited leads different than any other leads that are out there, right? I mean, can't I just go out and subscribe to like one of these, you know, companies that are overseas that are selling leads for $0.25 or 40 cents, or
even in the United States, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And obviously there are many options out there to subscribe for many different things, but not all things are equal. Right. And that old saying where you get what you pay for in life is actually very, very true here. And here's a paradigm shift that sometimes less is more. Right. So one of the things that we do that I think is very, very different, and this is something that we do not only with the incoming inherited leads, but something that we already do with our probate leads, which is this, is we take every single file and we cross-reference that file to see if there is or is not any real estate. And if it does not have real estate, then it does not qualify to move forward and to be delivered to our subscribers. Right. Yeah. That's very, very important. So paradigm shift. I had a gentleman who actually was subscribed to quite a few counties, right, with probate leads, with the different company. And check this out. This other company was selling him everything that was filed. Well, you don't want everything that's filed, because everything that's filed could mean that there could be, say, for example, a guardianship, which falls under the probate umbrella oftentimes, that has nothing to do with real estate. It's just two parents disputing over a child. Or there could be, probates that have no real estate in them whatsoever. And so these are big problems. If you're a person that's doing direct mail and you're spending that time, energy, and money to get that across, you're throwing money and time down the drain, and you can't recoup either one. I mean, you might be able to recoup money eventually, but not time. And so the paradigm shift here is that you have to understand that getting less leads that are qualified, right, that meet the criteria of an investor or a real estate agent that can actually go out and market to a qualified lead is more important, more valuable than getting 10 times more leads that are absolutely worthless and are trash, and they're actually going to put your business down the toilet, really.
And a great example of this is I had someone approach me saying, hey, I can get 500 leads from this provider at whatever, it was like 20, 30, 40 cents or whatever. And I said, great, go for it. I go, but you're wasting your money. And I'm going to tell you why. Are you going to pay more for us? And you're going to pay more because we skip trace it. We give you relatives. No one else gives you relatives. So try getting a hold of an inheritance person when all you're doing is mailing the dead person or the decedent, right? Doesn't work very well. You want to mail the relatives. You want to text the relatives. You want to do other stuff with the relatives. Law is applicable, of course, folks out there, right? But so we're different from that perspective. But so they buy 500 leads at 40 cents a pop and they mail. And they're mailing postcards or letters, cheapest postcards, 40 cents, or a letter, 60, 70 cents, right? And I told them, I go, well, we would give you about 60 leads out of that 500. And absolutely blown away. Person is absolutely blown away because we verify that the property is behind those inheritance leads. And otherwise, you're just wasting your money. Why would you mail another 440 leads when you're going to only have to mail 60? I mean, that's like a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1. I can't even do the math that quick. 5-to-1, 6-to-1, right? In terms of, what you're mailing extra than what you should be mailing. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So our service is unique. We came at it because we're two investors that are tired of bad leads, number one, right? And tired of mailing and blowing money when, with COVID and everything, no one has a lot of marketing money to blow around anymore, right? People are very particular, and you should be very particular in the leads that you do. So sorry to go on my soapbox here. I'm really sorry, Ernie, but it just drives me nuts that people are wasting money right now when they don't have to.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, absolutely. And those are great points. And that's something that we really want to get across to people so that people understand. Unfortunately, some people are swayed by bad marketing ideas, I think. So yeah, check what you're getting. Be very cautious. Ask a lot of questions. And if you have questions for us, we're wide open. Here to answer anything that you may want and to really be able to
absolutely
give further questions.
Yeah, put some comments, call us, email us, whatever you want to do. Our contact information is in the video and in Facebook and in YouTube and so forth, wherever we're broadcasting. But really, two main points on our probate leads and our inheritance leads. Number one, we skip trace everything, right? So if you want to get a hold of the relatives and inheritance, especially, you can, because you get an address now of the relative. So if you want to mail the relatives, even better. Or I'm gonna throw out some videos later on in the next couple of weeks on how you can really trim down all your marketing costs by going through a 4-step process. And so we'll put that video out here. So if you want access to that video, subscribe into that shortened lead. I'll definitely give you access to that video as well. And then Ernie, you're going to do one on, or we're in the process of doing one on reverse mortgages, right? For probate and inheritance, right? How do you help people through a reverse mortgages? There's more videos coming, folks. So you got to subscribe right now to that shortened link, and we'll get you on that list to get those videos as well.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And I'm pretty excited about that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I'm pretty excited about that because we'll be able to share what a true inheritance deed is and what that means. What is a pre-probate? You know, what is a pre-probate really? And how does that differ from a probate? And how does that differ from an inheritance deed? You know, there are many, many types of leads that you would find in inheritance. Well, not many, but there are few good sources. And that's something that we'll share on that video on what the difference is between all of them. So.
Okay. Awesome. Well, hey, Ernie, I know we had a great time here talking about, basically when not to buy a property and when to buy a property and what you should be offering them and your different offer structures already in this short little video. And then the importance of, buying the right lead, not buying bulk leads that, don't have real property behind them. Number one, they have to have real property. Number two, get them skip traced. Our leads come ready to go. They're fully skip traced. So you're getting in many times $1 or $2 worth of skip tracing in every record that we're selling to you. So it's a huge advantage over someone else, where you can email them and text them, call them, RVM them, do whatever you need to do, and of course mail them as well. Hey, Ernie, thanks a lot. The Probate Fox, the man, the legend, the genius here. Really appreciate you being on our video here today, and really appreciate it. Have a good night, my friend.
Thank you. Likewise. Talk to you soon.
All right.